what about those Pokes last night? That was that was a tense game, wasn't it? That was. Uh, I'm sorry to say for you OSU fans, I didn't finish watching the whole thing. Is that okay? I mean, I knew I had to come to work today, and it's been crazy the last month. But I got up this morning and I checked the score, and I saw they won. And it reminds me of a story about Tom Brady. You know, Tom Brady, the New England Patriots today play the Buccaneers, and this fall I haven't watched as much football, but a lot of people consider him the best player ever, the best quarterback of the game. He's won 5 Super Bowl events, titles, and he's the only quarterback, the only player in NFL history to have been the quarterback of the same team that won those 5 Super Bowls. The 4th one, he was named the most valuable player. And if anybody, when you look at him and you think, I mean, this guy's on top of his game, right? If anybody is a success, you'd think Tom Brady would be a success. You'd think that he would never have a moment of self-doubt in his life. But a few years ago, he did an interview with 60 Minutes, and the correspondent was Steve Kroft. And at one point, he confesses to Steve Kroft this: why do I have 3 Super Bowl rings and still think that there's something greater out there for me? I mean, maybe a lot of people would say, hey man, this is what it's all about. You've reached your goal, your dream in life. Me, I think, God, there's got to be more to this. I mean, it can't be all it's cracked up to be. And Kroft asks him, well, what's the answer? And Steve Brady responds back and says, I wished I knew. I wished I knew. I wished I could talk to him. I could help him. But what is it all about? I mean, have you ever thought about that question? What is the meaning and the purpose behind all of the accomplishments, all of the struggles, all of the daily activities, all the things that we're faced with? Why do we do what we do? Desire what we desire, love what we love, hate what we hate. How does our faith make any difference in this world? I've got a friend that I knew from college that for over 30 years has been the director of world missions for his denomination, and he retired this past November, and he and I have breakfast occasionally, and so one of the things I asked him, or we talked about, was as he was going through retirement, he said, you know, there's those things that you always want to do, and he said, you know, those last about 6 months after you retire, and then there has to be a purpose that gets you up every morning. You have to answer that. In the trenches of life, down where most of us live, in the nitty-gritty, we've got to have a real faith. We've got to have a practical faith, a faith that works. We need a faith that's not some abstract philosophical, theological system, a pie in the sky by and by. We need something that gets us through those moments in life when we're across the world on the other side and we get that call that your brother's died, or spouse, or a mom, or a dad. James, the letter of James, gives us some practical insight into that practical, real faith. And by the way, I want to thank Jay Smith for doing a phenomenal job while I was gone. We're blessed to have the staff we have and have Jay here. I've been teaching this Bible study on Wednesday nights on the book of Acts, and you're welcome to come if you don't have a study or you're not doing anything on Wednesday nights. Come and eat. And one of the things that I've said in that study was when the Holy Spirit came to those that were gathered in that upper room, by the end of the first century, the church had exploded all over the known empire, the Roman Empire and beyond, from Spain to almost southern India by the end of the first century. And this letter that James wrote, we think the brother of Jesus was during that first century. And one of the questions that James answers, I believe, is the question, what is this all about? And I think the first thing that James says is we have to acknowledge, if we are followers of Jesus and we gather today to confess that we are followers of Jesus, we have to acknowledge that everything good in life is a gift from God. James says this: every good gift, every perfect gift comes from above. These gifts come down from the Father, the creator of heaven, the heavenly lights, in whose character there is no chance or no change at all. The first step, the foundation for real faith, I believe, is to understand that there is a God of the universe, and we are the object of his attention. And this God of the universe is the source of every good thing in life. That's not news for you. This is just a reminder. Do you know why? It's because we tend to forget, don't we? And the older we get, the more we forget, trust me. I have a little app on my phone. It's called Todoist. And it helps me keep track of things that I tend to forget. But we won't go there today. Or maybe I've already gone there. We tend to forget that the air we breathe is a gift from God. The food we eat, the ground we stand on, the people we love, the abilities we have, it's all a gift from God. And God is the source of those good things in our lives. There was a poll recently conducted by the British Nutrition Foundation, and they questioned 27,500 children and youth ages 5 to 16 in Britain about the source of food. According to the summary of the survey and the BBC article, about 1/3 of the British primary elementary school students thought that cheese was made from plants. And there may be some, but that's not the primary source. A quarter think fish sticks come from chicken or pigs. Nearly about 1 in 10 secondary high school students think that tomatoes grow underground. The survey also revealed confusion about the source of staples such as pasta and bread, and among younger pupils, about 1/3 of kids 5 to 8 years old believed that pasta and bread was made from meat. And about 19% of the age didn't realize that potatoes grew underground. They thought they grew on a bush or a tree. Somebody needs to get those kids to a farm, right? They need to come to a visit to Oklahoma. Let's not be confused about the source of our blessings in life. The good things in life don't come from luck or fate or our own intelligence or skill, although sometimes things happen and the blessings come and become greater because of our intelligence or gifts. But ultimately, the source of every good thing is from God. We owe our lives to God, and that leads to the second thing I want to say is this. Knowing that and understanding that God is the source of all good things should make us humble, James says. And it should make us grateful. And it should make us vulnerable. True faith gives us an attitude, and that attitude is one not of arrogance or pride or self-righteousness or look at me, but an attitude of gratitude, humility, and vulnerability. Listen to what James says. Know this, my dear brothers and sisters. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger, because an angry person does not produce God's righteousness. Therefore, with humility, set aside all moral filth, all growth of wickedness, and become the word, and welcome, the word that's planted deep inside you. Become and welcome the word planted deep inside you, the very word that's able to save you. Now, unfortunately, sometimes being full of religion can tilt us, lend us in the opposite direction from godliness. If we're not careful, and I've done I've been in a religious community for most of my adult life, right? And so occasionally what I see is people who become judgmental toward others and look at them as less than Christian. Eugene Peterson translates this passage that I just read to you. Sometimes we look at people as less, and Peterson says this in the Message: anyone who sets himself above as religious by talking a good game is self-deceived. This kind of religion is hot air, and only hot air. True devotion to God is humility and love and grace and gratitude. Long ago during World War II, and some of you may remember, have read the book, The Hiding Place, there was a Dutch family, the Ten Boom family, that hid their Jewish neighbors from the Nazis. Corrie Ten Boom wrote a book about it. They risked their lives, and the family ended up being in a concentration camp themselves. And I believe, if I'm remembering this correctly, Corrie was the only one that survived. And one evening, Corrie and her sister were talking to their father about why so many of their neighbors who professed to be Christians were siding with the Nazis. They said and Corrie said this to her dad: Daddy, they are part of the same church that we attend, that we go to. They go to church with us. And Papa Ten Boom in the book, The Hiding Place, answers with wisdom and says this: just because a mouse is in the cookie jar doesn't make the mouse a cookie. We used to say it this way: walking into church doesn't make you a Christian any more than walking into your garage makes you a car, right? Same idea. Your faith, a faith that's on your lips only, but not evident in your life, is false. If your relationship with God is in your head but not in your heart, it's worthless. If your religion is like a suit of clothes and you get up on Sunday and you put this suit of clothes on and you wear it to church, and then Monday morning you get up to go to work and you take the suit off and you put your other clothes on, and you go through the week like that, you're not being true. It's not being real. It's all about your devotion. It's all about putting your devotion to God into action. James says it's like looking in a mirror. Those who hear the word and don't do it are like people who look in a mirror and then walk away, and 2 minutes later they can't remember what they look like. But those who hear the word and they do the word reinforce the image of godliness in their lives. They stay focused and on course. And no matter what comes, in the end, they receive the blessing of God. In verse 25, they will be blessed in whatever they do, he says. On some Friday nights during the month, we have family night out or Friday night out for single moms and foster parents. I saw an email from Amber this week. This weekend is a peaceful family retreat over in the North End for families whose children have struggled from addiction. This morning we picked up an offering here, left during communion, that people left that goes to those who are in need. We spend a lot of time and money working with people in the community. On and on the story goes. This weekend we hosted a discipleship conference to help people become doers of the word, not just hearers only, and on and on. When we put our faith into action, and that's what today is about. We know this morning I got up in worship in the first service to play that video about the Inspired campaign, and guess what? It didn't work. And I told the first service people, point taken. We don't need to illustrate the need for what we need to do in the worship center. And this is the hub. That's when we're making these commitments. We're putting faith into action because we want to reach people for Jesus. We want to know Jesus. We want you to know Jesus. And we want it to be more than just a Sunday thing where you put on a suit of clothes. We want it to make a difference in the trenches of life. We want to keep it real in your life. That's why we're here. That's what this is about. I'm going to invite